What's up everybody, Ezel Senpai here, and I'm here with a much requested deck profile. For some reason you guys would rather see the current Ezel deck than see the deck I used to get clan leader for golds in Houston. But hey, this is what you want, I'm here to give it to you. You guys are going to see that video anyway. So without further ado, let me give you the current Ezel deck list. So to start things off, we're playing 4 Grand Ezel and 4 Raven-haired Ezel. Now, actually, as I'm going to go through this, I'm going to talk about some of the variations that I've had with the deck, some things I've tried, some things I think worked, and some things didn't. So, during Springfest in Anaheim, I actually was playtesting this deck very differently. Very differently during day 2. Day 2 was just free fight for me because I was just sitting there as my buddy was judging and he was my ride, so. Hi Alex! So what I did was I rebuilt the deck kind of with a different idea in mind, and the idea did kind of get transferred to this build, but for right now, for what the build was, and it was the build I had used against AJ, oh my god, why am I forgetting channel names? I'm so sorry. I'll link to their channel. AJ's channel will be in the description below. God, I am horrible. I'm sorry that I forget other people's names, and I feel really bad about it. But AJ, I remember AJ. And I had played, I had called this Reckless Abandon. Because this deck was just, hey, I'm going to do what I want. I was playing 3 Grand Ezel and 4 Raven-haired Ezel. Because I was going with the mindset of, no matter what my grade 3 is, it's a vanilla. Because I have no on-strike skills. So I'm like, okay, if I'm going to go in the mindset of I have vanillas, how can I compensate for that? And I use the word compensate very, you know, I'll let you guys figure out how I was going to use it and go from there. But the idea would be, you know, ideally you want to ride the Grand Ezel. Ideally. But if you have to ride to Raven-haired, that's fine too. It just depends on how fast the game's going and how much you're letting yourself take damage. I actually bumped this up to 4 because I found out I was going through my Raven-haired Ezels way too quickly, either in damage or I was ditching for stride and wasn't getting any stride fodders. So 4 and 4 is a fine balance. I actually wanted to play around with the superior ride version, but that will come in another video if you guys want. Next, for the grade 2 lineup, we are playing 4 Perrymore, 4 Quill, and 3 Hendrix. Now, in previous builds, I actually did not like Perrymore at all. Perrymore to me was a loss just because it was too much of a gamble. Because it's like, oh hey, yeah, I can gain a 2k, and Counterboss wanted to call something behind it. Enable Unite, cool, but what if I called out, another grade 2, or, a grade 3, or a trigger that doesn't go back to the deck, or that I can get use out of? It's kind of a loss. Thankfully, now we have a new grade 1, which I'll talk about here in a minute, that actually makes Perrymore infinitely better! If you guys couldn't tell, I'm actually recording in a whole other room, in a new room, so this is my studio / office / nerd cave, so the acoustics in here sound alright, they sound good. So Perrymore at 4, super cool. Especially great when you go into Ultima final turns. Foil is here because we do have the multi-attacking during battle phase. We're able to churn out possibly, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks if done correctly, depending on where you're going at, what you go into. And then Hendrix is there as the generic, oh hey, I'm going to call something else. The other benefit of Hendrix is a majority of my strides are Gerduit. So when you stride to Gerduit, this guy actually becomes really good. Next, for the grade 1 lineup, we are playing 4 Alicia, 4 Stride Fodder, 3 Jeffrey, and 3 Corinius. I like Alicia as a perfect guard, especially for this build, especially with some of the tech cards that are in here. I know Improved Falcon is an improvement, but I prefer this over that. Just because of the defensive strategies, just because you're able to return stuff, and the fact that it can be used with Slaney Flip, which is super important. 4 strike plotters, yeah, I may have max grade 3s, or I could branch into 9, but I don't want to. 4 strike plotter I feel is just good enough. It has to. It has to be. 3 Jeffrey for that draw power. You know, for Gold Paladins, we do deck out really fast, but if we're able to win before we deck out, is it worth it? I think so. I've actually been kind of tempted to bump this up to 4, but I'm not exactly sure what to take out. It'd probably be a grade 3 or something, but I'm not exactly sure the number. I could take this out, but this card actually made Parrymore really good, especially on the turns where you stride into a Dirtwit stride. Being able to refund cost, especially like you go to Helios, for example, then you drop Parrymore, and let's say you get a bad call with Parrymore, and you already have this out in the field, you rest it, give something 4K, or Parrymore, your Vanguard, whatever, send a unit back to the deck, countercharge 1, draw a card. So not only did you refund the cost of Parrymore, you just put a card back into the deck that you may not need at the moment, and you got to draw on it. It does have the Unite ability, but only for Unite Vanguards. So if you have your strides that have Unite and they try to defeat Flare, head around, anything like that, resist. But, you know, during the turns where you're on Ezel, he's wide open for retiring, returning, locking, all that fun stuff. Our starter is Coel. Coel is the best starter in Gold Paladin no matter what. Coel is the best starter for Gold Paladins so far. We don't know what Gold Paladins will get in the future past the V support. We'll just have to wait and see, but that's a 2-year wait. So for now, Coel's the best starter we have. Our trigger lineup. We are playing 9 critical triggers. 3 stand triggers, and 4 heals. So I actually tried another version of this, the Reckless Abandon build at Team League, where it ran 2 Catch Goal, 3 Gigantic Ringer, 1, 2, then 4. And it did alright, but I was lacking that critical pressure and getting stands when I don't need the stands, especially when I don't have anything on the field, so I just dropped it down to 3. I think this is a good number. If the catch goal gets damaged, hey, so be it. Ringer's the main draw engine, that's why there's 2, or not the main draw. It is a draw engine. And even if you lose 1 copy of him, at least he himself is able to go back as well. Flame Victory at 2, I think was more important. I think it was more important to keep this down, because yeah, I can put in the soul, but this deck already has ways of getting soul through Starface Lion, through other cards, Jeffrey. I could technically bump this back up to 4, so it'd be 4-4-1, but there have been situations where that extra soul is needed, so just something to keep in mind for you guys for later. For our G-Zone lineup, we are using 4 Dirtwit Helios, 2 Heavenly Law, 2 Glorious Raining Dragon, 2 Mithril Ezel, Ultima, Sabriz, 2 Slimy Flare, Dismal, and Elise. Why Dismal? This is something you're probably asking yourself. I found out through playtesting, I actually was deciding between playing Thabas or playing Dirtwit for the Anaheim Team League, and I went with Thabas because Thabas gave me a better sense of team responsibility. It's something that I can go into and it will more than likely win games, versus Dirtwit where it's like, yeah, I know the cards inside and out, but I know what the weaknesses are, and if my opponent knows those too, they're going to take straight advantage of it. So one of the weaknesses Gold Paladin has is the fact that the opponent can hit off rear guards, retire them, block them, just get rid of them, return them. Dismal kind of slows that down just a little bit, especially if you have a rearguard like Carrymore or Quill that you still have on board that you want to protect but don't want to throw away your whole hand. Using Dismal, I think, will keep, you know, that unit there. At least in that sense, it's like, okay, you can't do anything to this rearguard. That's less cards in hand I have to devote to protecting it. The main reason why I put Dismal in is for those reasons, and you know, it wasn't until after Houston that I realized, oh, this is actually a good card for Gold Paladin. Because a lot of the time for Golds, I'll end up using all of my G guards, and that's why most players play 5 G guards, so you can take full advantage of all your cards. But I think with Dismal, it does protect the rear guards, and that is very handy, especially for this build. I haven't tested it in Gurdwit yet, but I will eventually. It's not in the. It won't be in the list. The deck list is the same as it was back then. Elise is there for the extra calling from the deck. Combos kind of like Slammy Flare. If you get Elise, you're able to do some interesting shenanigans. I remember it was this against AJ and pulling off an Alicia. It's a perfect guard to GBA. Oh my god. That was, I think it was it the GBA turn? I know I G-guarded and I perfect guarded from it, because Elise can be used from anywhere, which makes her so much better than Emperor Falcon in my opinion. So some of the combos this deck can do are actually pretty fun. Let's say, for example, you are on Grand Ezel, you are at 5 damage. You've got 2 open. And you already have some cards face up. Let's see where we got this going on. Depending on certain situations, depending on how big your hand is, how big the opponent's hand is, and what resources they have left, you can do one of different things. One thing you can do is ride to Raven-haired Ezel, you stride, and you go into Helios. Because of the ultimate break skill, it changes requirements for the opponent, not you. So even if you stride on top, that irregular guard restrict, as I'm calling it, still is applied to the opponent. Comboing it with Gurdwit Helios, especially Generation Break 3, it makes it to where the only thing they can guard with is G-guards. Because Raven-haired Ezel makes it to where the opponent's only able to guard from hand with 1s. With, you know, the normal guard restrict is nothing grade 1 or higher, forcing your opponent to intercept and G-guard. And if you're able to fill out your columns with other units, start hitting for higher numbers, you can do that. That's one way to win. I think that's probably the most consistent way. Another combo actually still involves Raven-haired Ezel. Very similar situation. You would ultimate ride, and you would go into Heavenly Law. So you use Heavenly Law's skill, whatever the case may be. You have, wherever you're at in the game, you would have a plethora of Gurdwit strides face up. So all your units would gain that much power, X times 20. X being the number of Gurdwits face up, so 20, 40, 60, 80, 10. And being able to swing for multiple attacks, even with that continuous power up, is still really, really interesting. Like, a lot of these combos do revolve around Raven-haired Ezel. Because if you're going to be in the late game, you at least better be able to do something in the late game. Another combo that can be done, and I actually really like this one, is riding the Raven-haired Ezel, applying the irregular guard restrict, ultimate stride. Guess what? We're going into Ultima. The irregular guard restrict is applied. You do the skill. What I do, and well, I'm sure a lot of people do this, but aside from stacking a stand trigger and a crit trigger, I call out 2 parry more. Let's just put a bunch of cards right here. Actually, let's grab some random cards. There we go. I end up doing this. And then depending on how many cards are in my hand, I will go full field, or as much of full field as I possibly can. Like I said, depending on the number of cards in hand. If I have to call triggers, I'll call triggers out. Don't go into this unless you know you can get the game count the resources that they have left, how many triggers are left in the deck, how many cards are in their hand, how many heals that they've done, how many G guards are face up. Don't go into it willy-nilly. Please don't. Because I have, and it sucks. So you would attack your rear guards first, assuming there's other rear guards back here. Go into Ultima. Everything gains 5k, and rear guards gain stand. Everything gains 5k, and everyone gains a crit. And say you did another trigger that's another power up. Let's just say it's another crit, for example. These two you stacked up. This one was just random. So everybody would gain another 5. And then, oh hey, everyone gains an extra 2 crits. Cool. Even if this got perfect guarded because the irregular guard restrict, everything else gained 15k each. That is 30k each to the column. To the whole column. So that does stack up for really big numbers. And if you can't win by that, then maybe they had a bigger hand, maybe they miracle healed, whatever the case may be. So those are just some combos with Ravenhair Ezel that you guys can do. Some of my favorite ones. Just some logic behind it. Maybe it's not the best sound logic, but that's what I do. It's what I like about it. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the deck profile. And if you liked what I have done, I know it's been a year since I posted actual Vanguard content. But, you know, more videos are coming out soon. I have other deck profiles recording. I have other deck profiles recorded and or going to be recording, editing, and then uploading in the coming days. So stay tuned for more videos. Also, I will be posting up more standard content because everyone's doing that all of a sudden. So hopefully you guys enjoy the same sort of content that's always floating around with all the other Vanguard channels. With that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next video. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. I'm not going to tell you hit the bell button because I think that's a little presumptuous. You'll see the video in your own time. Also, check out the links in the description below, and I will catch you guys later. Remember, stay humble.